So hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully it's big enough that you can see this. We're going to come up with some things. So here's what we're going to do. One of the ways that I've noticed that we help most of our clients the most is how do they restructure their offer when they come to us. So I want to give you some examples. So let me see if I can build out a text box, right? We've got offer one. I'm going to have to blow this up so everybody can see this bigger, but hopefully you can see offer one. If this is too small, if you're on your phone, let me know. I'll try to blow this up. Come on. There we go. Offer one. Cool. We got offer one. Duplicate. Cool. Offer one, we're going to go say that a lot of people that come to us, they have a less than a $500 offer. I can select this. So it's less than $500. If this is you, if your offer in your coaching program, or let me put it this way too, because this is also another thing that we see, which is let me type. Oh no. Okay. Cool, there we go. Or selling session by session. So is this you? Are you selling session by session? Meaning, hey, yeah, I do a 1 hour coaching call for $100 or $50, or I do, a package of 3 sessions for a discount of 10% at, I don't know, $500, right? Is that something that you're doing? If that's your type of coaching offer or consulting offer, just put in here what it is. Or you are selling a course and it's under $500 and you're making, let's say, if you are making less than, let's just do this. Or course, whoops. Let's do this. Trying to figure out this tool here. Or this could be a course with less than, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 in sales per month. How many of you is this you? Right now, you are selling either a coaching offer that is less than $500, or you're selling session by session or a package of sessions of your time, or you have a course and you're doing less than $1,000 in sales per month. Is that you? Sue says yes. Cam says yes. Cool. I'm gonna switch back and forth because I can't see the comments on Ecamm Live, unfortunately. Or maybe I can. I gotta peek in. Cool. So Cam says yes. Sue says yes. If this is you right now, here's what we got to do. First off, here's how we restructure things. If you're coming in to work with us, or for example, you're working with someone else, the first thing is you are no longer selling session by session. This has to go. So let me see if I can draw a line. This has to go. Cool. This selling session by session is the fastest way to burn out your business. And why this is for a couple reasons. Now, I'm not saying you can't ever do this, but here's what we found. And this is a mindset shift for a lot of people, is that you should never be selling time. If you're selling time, then you're not selling an outcome. If you're selling an outcome and you're saying it should take this amount of time to reach an outcome, different, but the outcome is the outcome, right? The outcome is what people want, and it doesn't matter if it takes them 5 visits to do it or it takes them 25. What matters is that they get the outcome. And I don't know if you're like me, but how many of you would pay to get it done faster than for it to take longer? And many of us are undercutting how valuable it is that we can help people get better faster by selling based on time instead of outcome. And the biggest difference here, and the biggest difference of why some people are able to sell a coaching offer, and this coaching could be, let's say you're in healthcare, you're selling like a health package, right? The biggest difference is your ability to prospect and your ability to communicate in the sales process. What do I mean by that? One, how do you find the people who are a right fit for your programs? Being obsessed with marketing, being obsessed with prospecting, being obsessed. And I mean obsessed, like studying these people. Where are they at? Building networks with them, talking with them every single day. And then selling, sales. How do you communicate the value of what you're offering to people? When you sell session by session, you're commoditizing what you do. And again, I have nothing against it if you don't want to do it, but if you want to restructure your offer so that you can actually work less and make more money, You have to be able to sell based on an outcome and future pace the vision for someone of what it is that they want. If we can't do that, we're going to be stuck selling session by session. And the problem here, maybe you guys can relate to this, is when you play this game, you rely on one thing: volume. You need an absolute insane amount of volume. And by the way, for courses, if you're doing less than 1,000 a month, guess what else you need? Tons of volume. Oh, it automatically makes an arrow. Right? You need tons of volume. That means you need tons of new people into your prospecting pipeline. You need tons of new leads. You need tons of new people every single month. Now, if you're doing more than 1,000 a month, or you're selling a course and you're doing less than this, here's what you need to do in order to restructure your offer to start making more money. The very first thing is, if you fall into this category, I wonder if I can get a rectangle here. If you fall into this category, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to add in one-on-one or group coaching. And I know what you're thinking. I don't want to trade time for money. Tough. You got to trade time for money until you've proven results. And you have so much demand that you can back away from doing trading time for money. It's like one of the worst things I'm seeing, period, out there. I think it's harming entrepreneurs is, well, I want to get away from trading time for money. Great. Well, you will once you learn how to trade your time for money effectively to the point that you could hire somebody else because there's so much demand. And until you do that, you're going to have to trade time for money. Because if you can't figure this out, guess where you're going to go? To a job where guess what you do? Trade time for money. Right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If that makes sense, will you just put in the comments, makes sense. We've got to be willing to add in more service. And everything should come back to this. If you are not insanely focused on this, if you are not insanely focused on client results, and all you're focused on, meaning, and what I mean by this is, if you're trying to sell courses and you have yet to work with people one-on-one or in a group setting, and you don't have case studies or testimonials or a lot of testimonials, you should be working with more people one-on-one or in a group so you get more and more client results to the fact that they start referring you people, and you can market like crazy tons of case study results. Alex and I to this day, 3-point-some years into our business, maybe 4 years, we still do combination of one-on-one and group. Like trading time for money, making sure people get results. And we know that these people getting results is the long-term game of us being able to build a 7-figure business, like 7-figure annual business, by continuing to focus on client results. We're going slow to make sure everyone gets results. I would say we have about a 90-something% success rate, both in terms of financial return on investment and client satisfaction. I'm super proud of that. It's something that we really, really strive on. Then, if you're selling session by session, you need to bundle your offer. So what do I mean by that? Let me see if I can delete some of this stuff. Hopefully this makes sense. If you guys are with me, does this make sense? I know I get fired up about this, but if that makes sense, just comment "makes sense" in here. So the first thing is, if you were to come to us and you're selling a course and you're doing less than 1,000 in sales per month, you need to add in one-on-one or group coaching. And here's the cool thing. You can offer more, you can charge, you can raise your rate, and this should be somewhere in the, you guys are going to hate me for like all these different, this should be a minimum of $1,000. Minimum of $1,000. And if you're like, people will never pay for that, then we're we're not solving a big enough problem for people, or two, we're not communicating or having an effective sales process for people to do this. Now, why do people avoid this type of offer, right? So let's talk about that. Why do people avoid this type of offer? Let me see if I can get. Okay, so why do people avoid this type of offer? So let's go here. Number one, this is going to require phone or video sales. No link, right? Here's the tough thing, right? Selling this way, people are not going to pay $1,000 to click on a link or go to your website and click to buy. I would argue as well, you may not even want those people. We need to qualify them. So you need to build out a process. So let's say we've now moved this to greater than $1,000, since this is where we're at for your coaching offer, right? here's what we need to do. You need to have a sales process. So a sales process that goes, we're going to call this, in our world, it usually goes content, training. This could be a webinar, right? Could be webinar, right? Could be, so actually ours goes, so instead of content, we'll actually call this our group. So Facebook group. See if I can make this smaller. Training webinar. This could also be an online workshop. This could be a Facebook Live video. This could be a lead magnet. Could be anything where you're getting information to a discovery call. To official sales call. Enroll. Right? Like this is the process that we operate under. In no point do we ever, we will not allow someone to go to our group and say, hey guys, can you send me a link and just join your program? Absolutely not. Our program is $4,800 and I need to know that you're serious about it and that you are a good fit for this program because it's not meant for everyone, right? So I'd be giving refunds to people who just want to buy because they like Alex and I, and it turns out, hey, this program wasn't for you. If we had just had a 15-minute phone call, I would have known and told you there are different options that you should go with. I can refer you to some people who would be better fits for you, right? But you need to have a sales process. And my entire thinking with this offer is, how do I move people into this sales process? How do I get more people into my group? Or maybe it's your Instagram channel, maybe it's your YouTube channel. And then how do I get them into a sequence that moves them into a discovery call and ultimately a sales call? So what are you doing to push people into, hey, I'm providing incredible value. Do you want to move on to a discovery call, then on to a sales call, and then enroll? Some people are really good. You can make this one call. What we find for most people starting out is that doing a discovery call to sales call tends to work best. Cool. So real quick, how do we do this? So let's say you're struggling with this offer. Let me just check on this stuff. If anybody, cool. Are you guys still with me, by the way? For those of you who are tuning in, I think we got some people. Will you just comment here if you're here and you're watching this? I just want to make sure that, testing out Ecamm Live, I want to make sure that nothing is like, it's just new. Wondering if stalling, not stalling. And I guess more importantly, has this been helpful? Has this been helpful, and are you falling into this category? Jason is here. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure we were still alive. Awesome. Thank you, Jason. You're probably busy doing stuff, but I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. So cool. How do we shift up this offer, right? Like, how do we make this offer for those people who are nervous to sell this? We have to bundle, right? So we have to look at communicating to people what it is that we're offering. So let's say we look at pillars, right? So for us, you might just say health coaching, right? Health coaching program. That might be how you sold it before. And you say, yeah, it's X amount of sessions, and you sold it based on X number of sessions, right? Well, what if we look at this differently and we break it down into how are we helping people with accountability? How are we helping them with actual health? And how are we helping them with community? So now our offer is not just, hey, it's health coaching and it's just me and it's blank number of sessions and my time. What if it's, we're mapping this out, right? So you can have things like, hey, you're going to get a free FB group community with other people going through this. You are going to get a 15-minute check-in call weekly for accountability. You are going to get meal plans. You are going to get you're going to get custom workouts. You're going to get, we'll just say FB Messenger access to me Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m., from 8 to 5 every day. And you're going to get, and I'll ship you free water bottle and first box of protein. Cool. I don't know, something like that, right? Whoa, Maybe I can zoom out here. Whoa, crazy. Interesting. Okay. Cool. So here's, oh, nice. I can so the price is going to be really tiny, especially if you're on your phone. But now, this is something that might be worthy of, and then also this still includes your every week or every other week, like hour-long call that you go. So now they're getting accountability, they're getting health, they're getting community, they're paying for a program and not just sessions. And this is how you can take something from less than $500 to more than $1,000 by selling people on the things that they actually are going to want and need. Because again, it's not just information. They all have YouTube. They all have Google. They can find all this stuff. It's not really what they need. They don't need your expertise, sadly. I hate to say it. They do need your expertise, but really what they need more than that, because the expertise that you know, people can find on Google, they can find on YouTube. What they really need in today's world, I'm telling you, so you just see this over and over and over again, is they need accountability and they need community. And they may not necessarily know that they need it, but that's what we need to include for them. Be a part of something. Be a part of a movement. Be a part of something that's bigger than just you and me together in our coaching time. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So that's point number one. I gotta do one thing real quick. That's point number one. And then, all right, we are good. Okay. So this is point number one, how to restructure your offer. If you need to go back and watch this again, I kind of flew through it, but this is how we would restructure an offer. This is how we would take someone who would come to us and say, guys, I should have changed this to offer 2. It's my bad. This is how you can work less. So you're actually working less, meaning that you could do less amount of check-in calls, or you could do, so instead of having to do so many check-in calls or like an hour every week, you can allow the Facebook group to answer some of these questions. And that Facebook group can substitute needing longer and more coaching calls, individual coaching calls with people. And the cool thing is sometimes other group members who are further ahead will come in and help those people, which is super powerful. And they feel like they're a part of a group that cares about one another. And it's not just you and them. So that's how we look at restructuring this. Let me go through okay, so that's number one. Flying by the seat of my pants right now. So that was point number one. Let me go back to point number 2 that we were going to talk about, which is our quarterly marketing plan to attract clients. Okay, if you feel like you're stuck and you're on the hamster wheel, Dan, you mentioned this earlier. This is where you're going to want to tune in. So here's how we do this every quarter. We go through and we have quarter 1, which will start January. Quarter 2, again, you don't have to start January. This is just like a reference for you of how we do this. And I'm actually working on a deep dive training on this for our group, or for our momentum clients, of how to lay this out step by step. But this is going to happen for every quarter. So I'm not going to write it out for every quarter because the same thing happens every single quarter. So what do we do? Weekly, so at least week post on personal profile and FB group. At least once per week, email to email list. If you don't have one of these, that's okay. The first place you can start is your own personal profile. Start friend requesting people that are in your ideal niche. If you guys haven't been following us, we've been preaching it for solid like 2 or 3 years at least now. We've built most of our business off of building our personal profile and a Facebook group. It's insane. It takes work. Yep. It's manual. Yep. There are ways to automate it, but I'd recommend in the beginning, you just got to do it. Like if you're trying to build a coaching business that can give you freedom, do it. Do the work. We email our list at least once a week. Guess what? This post that I put on my personal profile, I put it in my Facebook group and I take the copy and I just put it into my email list. And if there's a link, instead of comment me something, I just put the link directly in the email. Okay, so these are our sort of, and then let me go here real quick. Hopefully you guys can still see this, okay? Okay, so what do we do? I should say this. Friend request 30 new people every week. This is minimum. Should be able to do more. That's literally a little more than, we'll just say 5 people a day. If you do it 5 days a week, 6 people a day. That's 6 people a day. You can do it. I promise. 6 people a day. Cool. Then what do I do? At the end, if you have a Facebook group, and this is going to be controversial, but I will go invite percent of new friends to FB group. And I know that this is a conversion rate of something like anywhere from 10 to 20% take rate. Sometimes it's higher. I should say sometimes this goes up to like 40. Depends, right? So let's do this. So of these friends are all in my friend request. 30 new people. I should make this even clearer for everyone. New people in ideal prospect groups every week. And I know that this is basically right now what I'm finding is anywhere from, oh, come on, you can do it, computer. It's converting usually at like 20 to 35% from what I'm seeing. Again, you're like, oh my God, Will, like only 20%? Yeah, like only 1 out of 5 people I send an invite to accept my friend request. But like, dude, it's way better than having to go like pay for ads to get an email list. Like it's our way around it. Like it's what we got to do. And if you're doing LinkedIn, same deal. Connect with 30 people. I would say connect with 30 people every day if you're using LinkedIn. If you're working with busy professionals, LinkedIn, Cam, if you're watching this, LinkedIn would be where I'd be spending 80+% of my marketing outreach time. Cool. So then what do? I set a goal of, so one other weekly goal is start at least 10 new conversations with people in my ideal prospect list. That's literally sending them a message on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Could be an email saying, hi, my name's Will. Thanks so much for accepting my friend request. How's business? Right? And this is a conversion rate of like, I don't know, 10 to 25%. Not everyone responds. Playing the long game, right? Cool. So we do that. This is sort of our weekly task, right? These are sort of the weekly tasks that move the business forward. If you run out of friends, let's say you hit 5,000 friends, you go back and you start deleting them, and then you add them, and then you add more. So we're going to call this weekly. Then we go to every month. So monthly, we're going to go with what Alex and I do is at least one short 10 to 20 minute training with a calendar booking link on same page as training. So for you guys who have gotten a training from one of us, you'll notice we offer we'll send it out to you. We'll say comment something because that boosts the Facebook algorithm. We don't do it because we love it. We just do it because it's what tells the algorithm, hey, send this to more people. So we do that. People who say they want it, I go and I make a landing page. We use ClickFunnels, but we use something like, let me see if I can find, I don't even know our trainings anymore. Grow to 20K maybe? Yeah, so this would be one. I think this ended up being a half an hour training. We do one of these once a month. And at the end, I talk about the end of this training. Hey, if this is you and you need help with this, book a call below for a strategy call. And you can book a momentum call with us. So there's ways to generate calls. Again, remember, I'm trying to book people into my sales process. I'm not trying to click a link and buy my thing. Go into my sales process, right? Go into my sales process. So that's what we do. We do one of these once a month. Since there's two of us, Alex and I sometimes can get away with two a month. Then quarterly, we do one live webinar. This is usually, I'm going to say 1 hour usually. However, if you're crazy like Alex and Will, 4 hours sometimes. Don't recommend 4 hours, but this is how we do this, right? So, this is how we plan out our quarterly events, right? Like this is how we plan out our marketing for a quarter. And we do this every single quarter, right? So I have my weekly tasks. So let me go ahead and make this. So this would be, oops. Move this up. So this right here would be our weekly tasks. So like daily, weekly tasks. Right? Cool thing is once you start getting to a certain place, you can start to automate. So some of this, we have somebody who helps us with cold outreach and LinkedIn. So somebody's on LinkedIn for me every day connecting with, I don't even know, like 40 or 50 people every single day, sends them a message for me, like starts all this stuff for me, which is great, right? Again, this is not the dream world. Nobody wants to do all this work, but this is what it takes. And Alex and I still do this every single week. Do we do it as much as we used to? No, we've built up enough of a network and we have referral sources now. But yeah, for the first 2 years, you bet this is what we were doing every single day / every single week, every single month, at least one short to 10 to 20 minute training on a specific thing that your prospects would benefit from. We say, comment me. And then by the way, I use this training as an excuse to then start a conversation with that person and learn more about their business and where they're at. Same with a webinar. Oh, you raise your hand, you're interested in the webinar. I use that as an excuse to send you the link to invite you to the webinar and then start a conversation with you. All hand-to-hand combat. Right now we have ads running in the background, but for the first several years, like this is all we did. Is this helpful to see the overview of the quarterly plan? Let me know if this is, I would love to know if this has been helpful. And then the last thing we'll dive into sort of the, what's been the number one thing that's been helping our clients that I think can be helping your clients as well if you are coaching people. And it's been really, really, really interesting. I think maybe I'll share two things that have been really powerful that I've been finding lately in our coaching business. And I would love to know, first off, if you're watching this, has this been helpful? Will you comment helpful or what? I would love to know in the comments, if you're watching this on the replay as well, what's the number one takeaway you've had so far from this training? By the way, it's like super cold and rainy here in Pittsburgh. Cam, I got to respond to your message, man. I saw your message, by the way, if you're still on here. I owe you a call. Jamie says, helpful. Vanessa says, just hopped on, looks good. Okay, cool. Glad it's been helpful. Awesome. So let's go into the very last thing, which is for this particular training that I want to talk about, which is, let me go through and erase this. This will all be recorded. It'll stay up in the group if you want to go back and watch this, if you need it. And this has been a couple things. Number one, biggest factors in our clients. Okay, so I guess I'd love to know if you have any guesses. Would love to know from you guys real quick, since there are some of you on here right now, and if you're on the replay, would love for you to share as well. What do you feel like, what do you think are the biggest factors for coaches having success? People with running a coaching business or maybe even a course business to have success? Because what I'm finding is a little bit different than what I guess I would have thought. I can tell you what it's not is a marketing tactic. I can tell you what it's not is some ninja sales trick. I can tell you what it's not is perfecting a webinar script. I can tell you it has nothing to do with some messenger script to do it or content schedule or posting framework or some Facebook or Instagram ad strategy or YouTube ad strategy that's like gonna knock it out of the park for people. The things that we've been seeing, here are a couple things. Number one, this has been crazy, and this might be shocking, but ask questions of your clients that make them reflect their own reflect the reality of their situation, and ask them to coach themselves as an exercise. This is kind of crazy. This used to scare me. I used to think like if I asked people to coach themselves, what would happen? I'll just tell you what I've found time and time again. The vast majority of times is that people know what they should be doing. People know the answers to what they should do. In fact, most of the time it's not information. It's not like, hey, can you write, like, so a lot of times I get people message me, hey, well, can you look at this like email I'm gonna write, or this post I'm gonna write, or I'm making an ad, can you look at it? And I think it, you know, to my, I guess, downfall at times is like I could probably make a bigger business out of it by helping people is, well, what do you think? Or like, hey, have you tried it? And it's usually like, well, I thought I'd run it by you first. And my answer is usually like, hey, let it fly, see what happens. Like, I don't know. I don't have a magic script. I don't have a magic thing. Like, I have principles. I know things that will, definitely probably not work. But that being said, this has been crazy. The key part of this here is that you want to ask questions of your clients that make them reflect the reality of their situation. So what I mean by this is, and this is, I think, really powerful for people who are in coaching businesses, and especially when you're starting out. You have client, you have you have blame, you have reality, right? We'll transfer this into blame, credit, right? So you have your client, you have you, oops, and you have these concepts of blame, credit, and then you have reality, right? So a lot of times a client will say, hey, I'm doing something and it's not working, like, what's wrong? And they want to blame or let's just put this, we'll put factors, right? So maybe they don't want to blame you directly, but you know they're thinking about it, right? Like, you know, if they could just be like, this is your fault, they'd say it, right? So you have external factors, right? So you've got blame, then this often gets passed to you, or, right? So blame or credit gets passed to you. Or here's the thing though, oftentimes this piece is drastically missing. I don't know how to highlight this. Like, if I could, this piece right here, I'm gonna make a little star, I guess, right? Both for blame and credit. We get a lot of clients who come to us and are like, guys, I couldn't have done it without you. And I really appreciate it. It makes me feel great. My ego goes through the roof, right? But I reframe it like, hey, what were the things that you did to make this happen for success to have occurred? Well, I did this, and I did this. Great. And then I reflect the reality. Were there times that you wanted to quit? Yeah. What were you doing in those moments that you wanted to quit? I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this. Well, what has changed since then? Well, now I'm doing this and I'm doing this. Great. Guess what? I didn't do any of that for you. I gave you advice, just like people can find on YouTube, they can find on Google. I held you accountable to keep asking yourself, is it worth going on? Is it worth continuing to do this? And the same thing goes for blame, right? So a lot of times we get people who will have clients who become frustrated, right? Something's not working, so then they feel blame. They want to pass blame on to you, or they want to pass blame on to external factors, which is really like their way of saying, hey, you're the one who's supposed to help me with these external factors, therefore the blame is on to you. Which is like, totally get it, right? You're paying me money, you're expecting something. But we have to ask and go, hey, you as the person here, you can either sit here and go two ways. You can either go to guilt, shame, right? Like disappointment, these kind of emotions. And sometimes these are warranted, right? And the goal here is to not end up here. Or the very first thing I recommend that you do with your clients is you go to reality, right? And reality goes to, hey, let's ask these questions of the client to see what reality has actually been. And you make the client come to you and say, hey, have you really done the things that you know you're supposed to do? And this is where I ask them to coach themselves. This has been super powerful. I found it really, really helpful, which is if you had to sit down with yourself, the future version of yourself who's successful, that has the success that you want, what would they tell you? And why this is super powerful is you make someone have to go into the state of being successful, which most of them are operating, they're not operating in that state, which is part of the reason why they are in the current situation they're in, is they're operating in a state of not feeling valid or worthy enough to achieve that state. So then you ask, okay, put yourself in the shoes of the successful person that you know you're going to become. You're there. You are that person. What has it taken in your mind for that person to achieve that? And it's amazing how often what they say it would take to achieve that is disconnected from the reality of their current actions. They say, well, they would do whatever it takes. Great. If you're being honest, are you doing everything that it would actually take? Well, and you're just getting to the reality, right? If the answer is yes, I'm doing absolutely everything, then you have a deeper conversation about, well, maybe our niche is off. Maybe our offer is just really not what people want at all. I have found, though, most times, I'll tell you, most people are not actually putting in the effort of the actions that they claim that they know the future successful version of themselves would be doing. But their reality right now is they are not putting in those efforts and actions. And then we have a deeper conversation. Why is that not happening? And if we don't get to that root, guess what happens here? Well, instead of you getting to reality, you start going to external factors to send back to them. Well, try marketing. Try a sales technique. Try a webinar. Try whatever. Try something. Try a JV partnership, right? But if you're going back in the state and they're not even putting the reality effort, if they're not putting in the effort of that future successful version of themselves, and they're only putting in, relatively like normal effort, then adding more external factors to that is not going to change. Very rarely is it going to change. You have to get into the reality of why are we not doing the things of our current situation? If it does not align with what they imagine the future version, successful version of themselves would be doing or would have done to get where they are. That's kind of meta. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps a lot. So I've been finding this to be a huge factor in our success. And then the second thing I would say with this is having a community that also incorporates this. Hey, are you doing this? Hey, how many of this? And then sharing other people. So we have somebody right now who break down Alice, people getting results, having those people telling other people. Awesome. Cool. I totally forgot what I was going to say. And highlighting other people. So highlighting other people in here who their reality is different than other people's. So we have a guy in here, Tim, who's a single dad. One of our clients, single dad, was working a full-time job, home health, driving all day in his car, and then seeing patients. He was sending upwards of 100 direct outreach messages a day. He heard back from less than 10% of them, sometimes even like 2%. He did it every day, though. Imagine the amount of people you reach. After even a month, 30 times 100, 3,000 people. At 1%, that's 30 conversations. It's amazing what can happen. But most people give up after 40 when they don't hear from one. And it's like, guys, like reality is different. Tim's reality is so different than the actions of most people. And then Tim is now doing 20K months, and he's living the reality of the effort, the reward of the effort that was being able to be put into that. And so we have to look at that. Hold on one sec. So we got to look at that, right? Does the effort match up with what it actually takes? And guess what? It's painful. It sucks. I remember, I know it's tough and it's not all about hustle, but I just can remember and still remember, it's 7 p.m. It's almost 7 p.m. my time, Eastern time on a Monday, doing live trainings. Like I'm lucky. I don't have kids. I know I don't have a crazy, involved like relationship that or married where I have to be like doing all these things all the time. But guys, it's 7 p.m. I'm still going to work for another hour and a half, 2 hours. Because I can. And it's like, now's the time. When else is the time, right? Like find ways to keep going, to keep putting in effort. So I hope this helps. just give you some insights into sort of our world, our business. Again, this is all kind of the stuff that we work on every single week in Momentum, in our coaching program for coaches and course creators who are willing to go beyond just selling low ticket. Unless you have a huge volume of it, then we're more than happy to help you. But yeah, I hope this helps, guys. My name is Will. Again, thanks so much for tuning into this. I hope it's been helpful. And go crush 2021. Set yourself up for success. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a message, and I'm happy to talk to you guys at any time. Okay, guys, I'm going to see if I can get out of Ecamm Live, and I'll catch you guys later.